Hello everybody, and welcome to my training video on how to properly find, download, and install software on your PC. My name is Dan White, and I am one of the owners of Nexxus Cloud LLC here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We are a corporate IT services consulting company that specializes in small to mid-sized market businesses. We do traditional IT, cloud services, migrations, servers, workstations, you name it. A lot of my clients I see have this problem, so I figured I'd make a video on this tonight instead of just one of my normal how-to articles. The biggest problem that we see today are people going out to the internet and installing software, which is actually not a big deal, but then they get all that tag-along bloatware software that comes along with it, and it winds up slowing up their computer. A lot of times has something malicious in it, and especially today, nowadays, with a lot of our clients that are government regulated with either PCI, SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX, FINRA, and especially HIPAA high-tech, that software definitely needs to be secure because the contents of your computer are definitely a big deal. Anyway, we'll get right into it. I have on my screen here two of the more popular browsers that are in use today, both Bing and Google. I used to be a Google guy for many, many years, and I've been slowly switching over to Bing just because I've been doing a lot with Windows 8, Windows 10. Actually, I've been in the Windows 10 environment now for a couple of months. The computer I'm recording on is Windows 8 right now, but the one that's capturing the audio right now is actually Windows 10. Bing has been very good at adding some added functionality. I like the, I have to admit, I like the cool little screens that they give you every day. They give you a cool little new picture and things like that. And just the general functionality that I'll be able to show you in the video, I feel is getting to be a little bit better with Bing. Also, just from reading Google's end user license agreement and Google's privacy policy, they've really kind of gone away from the nice Google that we all know, where they respected everybody's privacy, and they've become pretty intrusive into your privacy. They'll do a lot of the things that I shouldn't say. Not all the other browsers will do, but Google itself just seems to be kind of leaning more towards like what a Facebook does, where they basically capture everything and it's for sale to the highest bidder. So anyway, that's a whole nother video, so we'll move on. So generally what you would do is you would just go ahead and search for a piece of software. We'll just search for 7-Zip. 7-Zip is a software compression tool, kind of like WinZip. A lot of people will use 7-Zip just because of the automatic unpack and some other features that are out there that, again, I won't get into. And I'll use this just to explain the differences between Bing and Google here. So this first page over here is Bing, and this is Google. And we can see 7-Zip's official site actually shows up as the #1 spot on both. One of the things and features that I think that Bing is bringing to the table that Google does not is you'll actually see this little information section that they've started doing, and I really like this. They'll pull Wikipedia information and pull from several other sources, but what I really like about it here is it actually lists the official site. When you're looking on a Google, and maybe this is a bad example, but a lot of times you'll search for a piece of software and the first 2 or 3 things that pop up are ads, but it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. A lot of times too, if it's a smaller software manufacturer, they can't afford to host the file on their website, meaning that the bandwidth is going to be too much for them to be able to pay for, so they'll host those files on something like a download.com, Sourceforge, or other things like that. So it's really hard to tell, who is the actual owner of the software. And what I like about Bing is that it gives you, what is the software about, what does it do, the product's information. It's freeware, this is the name of it. But mainly right here is the official site. Google does not do that, and I really think that that's a big feature, especially nowadays where there's so many tricks out there to try and get you to download software that really isn't what you're looking for. And we'll go ahead and look at this. So let's say we didn't find the 7-Zip original official site here, and we went to download downloads.com. If you've been on the internet for a while now, you've probably been on this website. It's been around for a very long time. Actually, cnetsdownload.com has been one of the main software repositories for the internet for quite some time now. I used to use it quite a bit, but again, they also, as a company, have decided to go kind of towards the advertising dark side. And what you'll see here is mainly what confuses people is this whole start download stuff. You know, it's all over the screen. To me, I mean, I understand getting advertising. I understand trying to pay for your site. But when it becomes this intrusive, where everything on the screen is download here, download here, download here, it's really hard for the end user to tell what it is. So the little trick that I'll show you here is if you look down here in the lower left-hand corner of my screen as I hover over a link, and I'm not going to click it, but I'm going to hover over it, and it actually pulls up down at the bottom there. It says, you know, http://addclick.g.doubleclick.net. So that's definitely not 7-zip. If we again go over to here, again, it's definitely not 7-zip. And if we go over to here, you know, again, although I do know that this is the downloader that will start the 7-zip download, again, it doesn't tell you that. You know, nowhere in there does it say 7-zip files or installation, blah, 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 blah. That's the other thing I don't like about download.net, and I highly suggest that you stay away from download.net's website from here on out. They install like a downloader for you to download other things from their website, but when you install that, of course, it comes along with a whole bunch of browser cookies. It comes along with, you know, toolbars and advertising stuff that also installs on your computer. It slows down your computer. It's just bad news all around. So we're going to navigate away from download.net, and I'll go to the other popular software repository here on the internet, which is Sourceforge. Sourceforge also has been around for a very long time. Very trusted, reputable source. The reason why I still like Sourceforge, if you can't obviously get it from the original manufacturer's website, is because their website is very clear and concise here. You can tell that this is advertising. You can tell that this is all advertising. You can tell that this is content towards it. And when you hover over the download link, I like it when they put the additional, this little pop-up that comes up over here as I hover over is something that the person can turn on or off that's made the site, and they've chosen to turn it on because it very clearly states it's a download for 7-zip. It's actually got the version number in it, which is really nice, and who the source file is coming from SourceForge. And you can double check that again down here in the lower left-hand corner. And it's basically got the same exact information in there. It's sourceforge.net, project 7-zip data, blah, 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 blah. The one that comes up down here in the lower left-hand corner is the actual link that's being, this is Internet Explorer that I'm using, but this is the actual link that that you're going to click on, and that's what you're actually going to get. People can spoof this little box that pops up over there. So I do want to you know, raise that piece of warning, I guess, is to make sure that people understand that this box can be manipulated, this little yellow box that's popping up. So definitely always check your download before you click it. Don't click it, but just hover over it and it'll give you the download. And we'll go back here to and I'm just going to get it from the official site. I always try, like I said, to get the information or the software from the official site. It just prevents you from picking up anything on the internet that you just don't want. A little bit about what download should you use. There's an EXE and an MSI. EXEs and MSIs are basically the same thing. You know, for an end user, for you guys to know, you know, the MSI is a different kind of installation file, and I'm not really going to get into this because it's not that kind of video. But basically, you know, it's either an EXE or an MSI that you're looking for. I prefer the EXEs, but again, the MSI is okay. The MSI is more for like a corporate rollout or, you know, being able to do other things with it. And I also get a lot of questions, am I on a 32-bit or a 64-bit computer? One of the easiest ways for you to tell that is to go to Control Panel. More times than not, when you go to Control Panel, you'll be under this category view. I always tell people to drop this down and go to large icons. It just kind of gives you that old Windows XP feel, and it brings you right to it. You don't need to go to a bunch of different things. Anyway, back at it. We're going to look for system here, and of course I'm going to be blind tonight. Here we go. And system is going to bring you to this page, and it's basically been the same for forever now. What you're looking for here is system type, and it's 64-bit operating system, 64-bit operating system, 64-bit processor. If your computer has been built any time in the last 5 or more years, 5-6 years or newer, I would say 95% sure that you're on a 64-bit machine. The only time you're going to run into a 32-bit machine is if you've bought a refurbished computer or somebody's repurposed something for you and loaded Windows 8 or 7 on it, something like that. But basically, since Windows Vista has been out, which was 2008-ish, basically everything was a 64-bit processor. So that's how you can tell. So you go under Control Panel, go to System, and look at your operating system type. So, and then again, so we know that we have a 64-bit machine. A lot of times you'll see 32 or 64-bit. However, if you see x86 or x64, 32-bit is x86. That's the original platform, and x64 is the 64-bit. So just so you know. So we're going to click on the download for the 64-bit, and comes the next question that I get quite often is, do I want to run it or do I want to save it? And basically, this is a personal preference here. If you run it, it's not going to put it in your downloads folder. So here's my downloads folder, and this is stuff that I've downloaded over the course of, since I've had this computer up and running, which hasn't been that long actually. If I choose to save it, that's where it's going to put it, unless I check the save as, where then I can save it wherever I want. If I click on run, which I am going to do, it's just basically going to put it in the temporary internet files. It's going to keep it there long enough to be able to run the software, and then the next time you delete out your temporary internet files, that file is going to go away. If the file is small, if you have a good internet connection and it takes you less than a couple of minutes to download it, if the file is never going to be used again, meaning that you're not going to install it on your desktop, your laptop, and your wife's computer as well, then I just choose to usually run it. If it's a bigger application like Microsoft Office, something like Adobe Photoshop, things like that, something that I know is going to take a while to download, if for whatever reason the installation messes up and you have to reinstall it, do you really want to wait for it to download again? Probably not. So there I would probably save it. However, moving forward, if it's 6 months down the road and you're reinstalling your computer, you definitely want to go to the software manufacturer's website and go grab that installation file again. You always want to try and run off the newest copy of that installation file and not something that you've had saved on your computer for a year. I see a lot of people, have the software repository of tools, and even I've been guilty of that too, where, they've got it. And I'm not saying not to have that, because it is nice in a pinch, if you're at somewhere that doesn't have an internet connection or something like that. But, if you're at home or wherever and you're on the internet, definitely go to the software manufacturer's website and go ahead and get the newest version. Anyway, this comes to the most important part of this video, which is what I see people do is they just click next, 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 and next thing you know, they have a whole bunch of garbage on their computer. So we'll step through this. 7-zip is actually a pretty clean install. I've got a better thing to show you here later, but the typical, I accept the end user license agreement. Right here, you can usually drop these down and tell it whether or not you want to install it. If it's a larger application and you don't need all the features, this is where you can turn some of that stuff off. And then this is, again, a very small app. UAC just popped up. My screen probably went black for the recording. UAC is that pop-up that makes your screen go dark, and it says, XYZ application wants to change or make changes to your computer. Do you wish to allow it? Yes or no? I see a lot of people get really upset about UAC. I see a lot of people actually uninstall or disable UAC, which is a big no-no. UAC has been out since Windows Vista as well, which is one of the main reasons why we had such a hard time with software installations post Windows XP moving into the newer OSs from Microsoft, was the user account control, or UAC. If somebody tells you to disable UAC, or you've disabled UAC, I highly recommend you go back in and re-enable it. Again, that's through the control panel. This time you're going to go to user accounts, and under user accounts, you are going to go to user account control settings right here. And this is the default right here. I don't turn it up, that's for sure, and I definitely don't turn it down. User account control is the one thing on your computer that really can stop something from happening before it's too late. If you're browsing around on your computer and you're on the internet, you're using Facebook, you're not trying to make changes to your computer, and that box pops up, more often than not, it's something that you don't want. So obviously you'd want to click no. Now, I was installing 7-zip just now. The box popped up. It's, yes, I want to click yes. The reason why that box is very important is because technically the only way to get past that box is either through a keyboard or a mouse click. You can't write software to get around UAC unless you've been signed with Microsoft and you can get into that, or as a sysadmin you can make it circumvent that. But just randomly browsing the internet, it's not it can't get past that. Back in the day in Windows XP, everybody's computer account was the administrator. Of course, you wanted to be a local admin of your computer because you didn't want to have to go ask yourself if you could go install software, which was the inherent flaw, security flaw, because if you already have an elevated user logged into the computer, meaning you're the administrator and you're surfing the internet as that administrator, you are the god account on that computer, which means there's no more checks and balances in play. When you're in Windows Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, basically anything beyond that, that's what a user account control does. Is even though you are a local administrator, you're actually using your computer with a de-elevated set of credentials, meaning that yes, you are an administrator, but no, you're not running the computer as an administrator. When that box pops up, it's asking for administrative privileges, meaning that you're allowing the computer to step up your account to an administrator level to do that function, and that's what that UAC box is for. So anyway, if you've turned it off, or somebody has told you to turn it off, or somebody tells you to turn it off in the future, do not do it. I have seen some software applications where you have to do it to install that piece of software. If you do have to do it, definitely go back in there and turn it back on. It's a pretty big deal. Back to our video about installing software. So free video to MP3 converter. I had to actually scour the internet to find something like this. This software is chock full, and exactly why I wanted to make this video. A lot of times the software that gets people in trouble is not Microsoft Office, it's not Adobe Photoshop, it's not Flash or any of that stuff. However, Java, Oracle's Java does have toolbars attached to it, things like that. But this one's pretty blatant, and the reason why is because the word free is in that title, and boy do we love free software. No, nobody wants to pay $15, $20, $30 for that app. So why else does the software manufacturer or guy that's made the software have any incentive for putting it out there? I mean, sure, there are just nice people that like to put out pieces of software, but 9 times out of 10, if it says free in it, it's because it's just full of advertising or something else that's getting something from you. They're definitely getting something from you for you getting something from them. So I warn you, when you look for something on the internet, and you figure the cost of tech support is about $100 an hour, that $20 for that piece of software. A lot of times, reputable pieces of software will give you that 7-day trial period. I would definitely not, I would try and stay with a paid-for piece of software. A, you're supporting a small guy out there that's probably by himself, or a small team of people that have that are writing software. B, there's probably going to be support with it. And C, if you've paid for it, 9 times out of 10, it's not full of garbage. So anyway, we'll step through this. So first things first, English. I live in North America, United States, so that's my native language. Right here, it's asking me, do I want to give them anonymous usage statistics? I'll do that for a very select group of software devs, like Microsoft, again, Google, I will, Adobe, I will, just because it does help them make their software better. However, something that I just have I don't know who these people are. No, I'm not. I just don't trust them. Even you can read their EULAs and things like that. I don't even trust them to abide by their own EULA, to be quite honest with you. Again, here too it says, do I want to make a restore point? Now, that's really odd. Most software applications will not even ask that, usually because the Windows operating system creates a restore point for you whenever you make a change to your computer like this. And I definitely don't want to let a piece of software, again, that I have no idea who's made this, create a restore point in my Windows system library that's probably just going to be full of viruses. So again, if it's going to be a restore point and I'm going to manually create it, I'm just going to go in and do it myself if if I feel like I need it. But I'm definitely not going to let a piece of software do that for me. The next box here, this is the first place where you can make a mistake. Always do custom installation, and this bingo right here shows exactly why. When that wasn't ticked, that was all hidden. As soon as I tick this, the first two things that come up are install a bunch of adware and install a search provider. No thank you. I don't want you to manipulate my search provider through my websites. I don't want you to install adware on my computer. So I'm definitely glad I clicked on the custom installation, and I'm going to click on next. And right here is another piece of software that they're trying to install alongside of my software that I was ultimately trying to get. So no, I don't want to do that. And then here we go again. It's trying to install another piece of software that I definitely did not want. And now it's getting into the installation of the software. You don't have to be a computer genius to go through advanced setup. It always says, express setup or, normal setup or whatever, and it always says recommended. I find that 9 times out of 10, if you click on the advanced setup or the custom setup, the software manufacturer has selected for you what it would have selected anyway if you would have just done the express setup. The only difference is you get to actually look at what it wants to do before it does it, and you can make changes to it before that. So let's say you get to something in that custom setup or advanced setup that you just don't understand, just leave it be. Just leave it be whatever it was that it was selected. The only thing that you have to gain by doing the express setup is 3 or 4 probably screens of having to read. But you can tell right there, if I would have just done the express setup, not only would I have gotten this, but I would have gotten a whole bunch of other garbage on my computer that I would not have wanted. And it's also done me an awesome favor here, and I'm just going to stop that website from opening. It's done me an awesome favor of adding even more crap to my desktop. So we're just going to delete all this. Just because I don't need all that stuff on my desktop, and we'll go to the last part of this video, which is how to determine what has been installed on my computer and how do I get it off of there. So let's say you've installed something on your computer and you are questioning whether or not that was the only thing that was installed on your computer. Go to the control panel. You're going to look for programs and features right here. We're going to click on Programs and Features, and we're basically going to click on Installed On and sort it by descending date. So the newest date on the top, all the way down to the not so newest date. I definitely loaded this computer about 3 weeks ago. You will see some installation days that are beyond when you first loaded this. A lot of times it's because either your system clock or something like that wasn't set right. Anyway, what we're looking at here is the software that's been installed, and here is the software that I installed today. Let's say I installed 7-zip and I just got this piece of software along with it, and I really didn't want that. It's just as simple as single clicking it, going to uninstall, probably have to select it again, click on the uninstall button, let it do its thing. If it asks you, why are you uninstalling my software, you do not need to fill these out. If it's an irreputable piece of software that has installed itself on your computer without your knowledge, or asking for it to, then I would just probably try and navigate away from that website faster than just don't fill out their software form or survey or anything like that. You obviously, they don't care. If they cared, they wouldn't have tried to slipstream themselves into your initial software package. But I do try to tell people to kind of keep this nice and tidy. The less stuff that's in here, the better off you are. You really only want applications that you're using or plan on using, or maybe even want to use. But if you you go through the programs and features and you find something in there that's just old, you never use it anymore, you have no idea what it is, just uninstall it. You can also tell from the publisher here, just don't uninstall a bunch of Microsoft stuff, or let's say you use iTunes, you'll see a lot of things from Apple. If it's a reputable company, you can keep it in there. But if it's something that you have no idea who it is, then like this Casino Blackjack, I haven't played that game in forever. I could probably go ahead and uninstall that. And then last but not least, I hear people say, gosh, it takes my computer, 15, 20 minutes, 30. I can go, cook breakfast and get a cup of coffee from Caribou down the street in the time it takes me to boot my computer up. And that's usually because of the programs that are starting with your computer. And the fastest way, if you're on Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 10, the fastest way to get to that, you can either hit Control-Alt-Delete and go to the Task Manager, but because I'm recording, I don't want to do that. So on an open area of my taskbar down here, I'm just going to right-click, and I'm going to go to Task Manager, and it's going to pull this up here. And right here in the startup box, mine's nice and tidy. This is the biggest thing that you can do to keep your computer running well, is to keep the amount of software that's starting at startup down to a minimum. You can see here I've had these disabled. I don't want Skype. I don't need a whole bunch of Google stuff starting. I don't even need OneNote, and I use OneNote. I use OneNote almost every day. Like I see even things like iTunes Updater and all that kind of stuff, they all want to start when your computer starts up. Well, that's like 20, 30 applications, sometimes even more, that want to start when your computer starts. iTunes, when you click a song, it's going to start, and it's going to look for the update after that. Do you need that starting when your computer boots up in the morning or in the afternoon or whenever? No, you probably don't. Like I said, I use OneNote almost every day. This little applet will start when I start OneNote. So, I don't need it to go and do that. The only things you really need starting with your computer are your antivirus software, and things like Dropbox. You definitely want, if you have like a file share like Dropbox or OneDrive or anything like that, those are the kind of things you want starting with your computer. Skype for Business I have starting with my computer, because when I log in, I want my coworkers to know that I'm on and available, things like that. But you don't need anything from Adobe starting automatically. You don't need anything from iTunes starting automatically. You don't need anything from Microsoft Office really starting automatically. If you want to start the application, start it after you've started your computer. So I know this has gone a little bit further than just getting something off the internet, so if you're still with me, I appreciate it. This is only my second video for the internet, so of course I'll have to work on my delivery a little bit, but thank you very much for tuning in. I will put a link in the description to contact us if you have any questions. Again, we are in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area, but we do service clients all over the United States. Again, my name is Dan White, and thank you for watching.